All right, you beautiful people. It is October 2021. We're taking a look back at what happened in September 2021 and where we sit year to date for the first 3 quarters of the year. So 3 quarters of the way through the year, and things are starting to level out a little bit, which is good news, I think, for everybody. In the month of September, we sold 30% less houses. But remember, when we're comparing back to 2020, that is when we sold the most amount of houses in a September, like almost ever. That was on the way out of the first lockdown of the pandemic. However, the prices have gone up year over year by 14% in September versus in 2020. We actually still have an inventory issue. We were starting to pick back up with the inventory that we had. We are still having an issue. We've got 1% less inventory than we saw last year and slightly more than we saw in August 2021. So still not a lot of houses to choose from. The demand obviously has been less than we saw last year. And as a result, we have a little bit more inventory, 5 weeks worth of inventory. At the peak of this market, I think we were down to 2 weeks of inventory. So it's good. We're getting better, but we're still nowhere near where we need to be in terms of amount of inventory. Year to date, we've sold 14.8 more houses, and we have an increase in price of 23.5%. Expect that number to get a little bit smaller as we move forward, because the end of 2020, the last quarter of 2020 was bonkers. Okay. And if we compare this last quarter of 2021, I don't think we're going to see those same growth rates. So this light market pickup is right in line with typical fall market. Okay. We talked about this happening in the summer. The inventory continues, like I said, to be really low. That's going to put upward pressure on pricing moving forward. We might not see the same growth as we did earlier this year, but we're still going to end this year at a 20% growth rate. Okay. And we finished last year at a 20% growth rate. So that's, between those 2 years and the year before, we've got 3 years, essentially we're doubling the prices of houses in Ottawa. So if you bought a house in 2018, you can expect by the end of 2021, it's going to be worth double, pretty close to double what it was. If you'd like to know what that actual number is, as always, reach out and I'm happy to help give you an idea of what value is. In September, on the residential side, we sold 28.8 less houses. Okay, you can see the total number there is 1244. Again, September was crazy in 2020. And again, the average price of a residential house in the month of September went up by 13%. And in 2020, I think in the month of September, the average price of a residential house went up by like 30%. So that's why that gap, that 13%, is a little bit lower than the year-to-date total. 1.4% less houses for sale, so 20 houses less for sale in 2021 than we saw in 2020. And again, 20 houses less exactly than we had last month on the residential side. So less inventory. Again, we've got not even 5 weeks or just over 5 weeks worth of inventory. So still, it's definitely a seller's market. But you can see the main difference there is the number of sales versus the inventory isn't as drastic. So not as many transactions happening. And as a result, it's starting to, the numbers are starting to look a little bit more balanced. You can see the average price year to date on residential has gone up by 25.2%, and the number of sales we sold more residential properties by almost 14%. Okay, so that's significant. It's significant growth across the board. Okay, last quarter might slightly reduce that margin as the last quarter of 2020. We were talking about this a second ago. Saw tremendous growth. Even still, to finish 2021 with 20% growth on the residential side, like I said, that's talking about 3 years of growth, essentially doubling the price of your house if you bought it in 2018. So on the condo side in September, we sold a ton less condos. Again, the numbers are smaller, so a gap of this magnitude. It's 200 less condos, but it represents 35.9% because we're not selling as many condos as we're selling houses. Condos typically account for between 20 and 25% of overall sales in the market. So a smaller segment for sure in Ottawa. But again, the average increase in value for a condo has gone up by 13.8% in the month of September. Inventory is exactly the same, actually one less than we saw last year, but a rise from August 2021. So we're starting to get a few more condos that are picking up. The months of inventory is picking up, so we've got a month and a half worth of inventory. Still absolutely a seller's market. until we get to, 3.5, 4 months of inventory. We're still big time in a seller's market. Year to date on the condo world, we've sold 17.9% more condos. You can see the total as just shy of 4,000 year to date, and the price point has gone up by 16.8%. So both the condos and the residential side seeing significant growth in terms of value this year. And then, of course, the notes, we did notice a lower number of units sold versus same period last year. But the demand for condos is so high last year at this time, right as the first lockout was coming out. People who were going to be buying a condo weren't able to, when we were locked down. 100 less apartments sold. There might be a trend to watch with the one level condos. It might be that people don't want to be in a one level condo. Who knows? The trends change on a regular basis, and keeping an eye on the long-term picture of it all will really, help you if you're considering buying or selling a condo. But, Ottawa doesn't have the same demand and desire for condos that we find in more metropolitan cities like Toronto. I think a lot of people are more into living in the suburbs and having a little bit more exterior space. It's a different style of life living in a condo than it is living in a suburban home or within the Greenbelt. I don't know. Anyways, if you guys would like to know any more about our thoughts with regards to any of this stuff, how it affects you or your family, whether you're buying, whether you're selling, whether you're investing in real estate, please reach out. As always, my team and I will be more than happy to help. And of course, the phone number, as always, 613-314-3187. And until then, Sty Fire out.